Legacy. I want this for my kids. I hope that my own commercial real estate investments are passed down 5 generations. I'm training my kids to maintain the properties and keep them in the family. That is my ultimate goal. This building, the Otto, was named after Otto Buis. Otto Buis was a roofing contractor in the Austin area in the early 1900s who had a penchant for buying old buildings in Austin. He bought this building, the Otto, in 1928, and he's passed it down from generation to generation. And now it's in the 3rd generation's hands. I believe in what I do. I'm actually hoping that the properties I'm buying in my lifetime get passed down 5 generations or more. The gift that Otto gave his family that they have kept intact is that he bought all of these buildings, and I believe he bought them cash. In the 3 years that I've been working with this family, there's been no debt on any of their properties. So when it came to redeveloping 1201 Cesar Chavez, they were able to get a loan easily because there was absolutely no debt. That was one of the main reasons we were able to do what we did. The Otto turned 110 years old in 2019. I imagine Otto used to come over on the weekends and add bits and pieces to this building. When we gutted the building, we were able to see what shape the building really was in, and it was caving in. My construction company, Beck-Reit and Sons, is a bridge repair contractor in the state of Texas. This means we were able to jack up the roof deck like a bridge deck while we repaired and redesigned the entire structure as needed. We replaced every column, every beam, beefed up all of the structure. Then we let the roof back down on the building and went back and started repairing the rest. The new beams really are beautiful. The downstairs main area has about 8,000 square feet of wide open space, with a small suite in the back, and there are 2 apartments upstairs from the back courtyard of this building. We determined that we could keep the building as is, but we had the challenge of the back unit, which is now 99 Waller C. The slab was poured for what we think was an outdoor porch, so it had no rebar. It was all torn up. The whole room was going to have to come off the building. The architect thought we should turn it into an outdoor patio area or bike storage. I said absolutely not. By my estimation, each square foot of a downtown building here in East Austin is worth $650. So, I'm going to be keeping the 1,000 square feet because it's a $600,000 room. We ended up repouring the concrete and adding a bathroom, which makes it a completely independent room from the rest of the building. I believed from the very beginning that it would be one of the most interesting rooms of the project, despite my general contractor, my consultants, my architects, and my engineers saying the room would be too small. It is now, in fact, recognized as one of the coolest features in the whole project. Then came the apartments. Everybody thought we should turn them into offices, turn them into retail, make the whole property commercial. The argument was that it just didn't make any sense to keep any of it residential. Since 1945, this has been office, retail, and 2 apartments. You rarely see an old mixed-use building, especially in East Austin. So we kept that intact and we designed around it. Another huge problem that we discovered was that the west wall of the building was 2 feet out into the city right-of-way. This meant that the city could have given notice at any time to take the wall down, which would, of course, completely destroy the building. So I went down to the City of Austin Real Estate Department, where it was determined the only way I could keep this wall that's been here for 110 years was to make an encroachment agreement with the City of Austin. So there was this telephone pole that sat in the middle of the sidewalk by the west wall of the building on Waller Street. The placement of said pole kept the sidewalk from being ADA compliant. So the city says, we will absolutely grant you an encroachment agreement, no problem. But first, you've got to fix this pole problem. The owners do not own that sidewalk, nor do they own that pole. Why is it now the owner's obligation to fix this ADA compliance issue that is actually a City of Austin issue? They simply said, we will not give you an encroachment agreement until the sidewalk is ADA compliant. I started with Austin Energy to see if they owned the pole. They did not. As it turned out, AT&T owns the pole. The problem with this is that the City of Austin has no sway over AT&T. So, I go out to the sidewalk. I think there's enough space next to this pole if we bump the sidewalk out a touch. We would be able to get our 36-inch clearance, and that would make it ADA compliant. I went to the engineer who drew it up, and then we went to the City of Austin to see if they would accept it. We actually had to have 11 departments sign off on it. All in all, it was an 18-month process. We had to go to the Planning Commission for approval. We had to go to the City Council for approval. All of that was finally completed in June 2018. Once that 18-month process was completed, we were allowed to pour a sidewalk on the edge of the building around the pole, at last making it ADA compliant. Here's the good news. The project was completed under budget, and it was 100% pre-leased before construction was even finished. Why do I think that happened? Well, all of my redevelopments are at least 75 to 90% pre-leased. Really though, it has a lot to do with location. East Austin is just the place to be. Austin, Texas as a whole is growing at an explosive rate, and major companies are moving here. Leasing space, buying buildings right here in East Austin, like GoDaddy, Oracle, Google, all across the United States from New York to San Francisco. It's on trend to house a business in one of these older restored buildings. The only areas in Austin that offer these kinds of buildings are South Congress, Dirty 6th, and East Austin. And the first two don't have the access to big live-work developments like Plaza Satio and the Mueller development. Was it worth it? Yes. Being able to preserve the family's legacy and breathe a second life into this 110-year-old structure in East Austin is truly one of the greatest accomplishments of my life. It was a huge undertaking. Some people may have thought I was crazy to do it. They did. But I loved the challenge, and I love putting all of my skills and knowledge to the test. Would I do it again? The honest answer, I don't know. For the right price, for the right terms, for the right opportunity. Maybe I'd have a real offer before I can answer that question. I'm always looking for the next building to buy, my next redevelopment property. So in a sense, yes, I'm looking to do it again. But would I do it for a family or another owner? I'll have to see what comes across my desk. Another Beck-Reit? Done right.